A Gravidez Traz Segredo Devastador. O CEO Apareceu para Protegê-La no Refetório. The cafeteria was buzzing, filled with the chatter and laughter of co-workers. Yet, an undercurrent of whispers sliced through the air, tinged with a sense of dread. There she sat, Claire, her usually vibrant eyes clouded with confusion and fear. Just 2 days before, her life had flipped upside down. She was pregnant, and the father. It was the tyrannical CEO, Mark Davidson, a man known for his ruthless ambition and icy demeanor. The very thought made her stomach do flips. Claire glanced around. People were talking, but all she could hear was the pounding of her heart. Why were they staring? What was it about her that was so different now? The way they waved their hands and exchanged glances was like a scene from a thriller. Each second felt heavy, each breath came harder. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she caught Mark's silhouette looming at the entrance. He was here, piercing through the crowd with an intensity that made everyone go silent. Something was off. Why was he here? Wasn't he supposed to be at a high-stakes meeting? And why was he looking straight at her, that determined look on his face? Claire's palms grew clammy. Everyone held their breath. Mark made his way toward her, tension rising in the room like a storm about to break. She could practically feel the eyes on her, questioning, judging, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. What did he want? "Hey," Mark said, his voice low but unmistakably authoritative. "Can we talk?" The room felt charged, as though the air was thick with secrets. Claire's mind raced. What could he possibly want with her? The way he said it sent chills down her spine, and anticipation bubbled in her chest. Was he going to deny everything? Or was he going to confront her about the rumor that had already begun to swirl? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The silence felt electric, alive with unanswered questions. Claire's heart raced as Mark's intense gaze bore into her, and she could feel the world slipping away. The faces around her blurred, and all she could focus on was him. What secret could he possibly reveal? She knew deep down that this was the pivotal moment, the tipping point where everything changed. Would the truth set her free, or would it trap her deeper? Claire held her breath, waiting for his next words, wondering how they could possibly unravel the tangled mess her life had become. Mark hesitated for just a moment, his expression shifting from fierce determination to something more vulnerable. The cafeteria brimmed with tension, as if the very walls held their breath in anticipation. Claire could feel the weight of countless eyes darting between them, measuring the seconds like an hour. "Come on," he urged softly, gesturing toward a quieter corner of the room. His voice, usually commanding, now held a hint of urgency, almost as if he was scared of what would happen to them, and scared of the truth hanging in the air like unspoken secrets. Claire nodded, her stomach twisting into knots. She rose from her seat, knees trembling beneath her as she followed him. It felt surreal, the chaos of the cafeteria fading into muffled chatter behind her. With every step, she could feel the eyes of her co-workers boring into her, judgment wrapped in a shroud of whispered sympathy. "Why are you here?" she finally mustered, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with both fear and defiance. They stood beneath the flickering fluorescent lights that cast a harsh glare on his sharp features. She didn't understand why he didn't just sweep the situation under the rug and pretend nothing had happened. "I came to see you," Mark said, his tone steady but his brow furrowed in concern. "I can't deny it anymore. It's my fault. You need to understand that." Her heart thundered. "Your fault?" she repeated incredulously. "You think appearing here will fix anything? You made a choice, Mark. This isn't just about you anymore." That last word echoed in her mind, heavy with the implications of their situation. "I know," he said, his voice tinged with raw, unguarded emotion. But I can help you. I can protect you. I want to protect our child. Her breath hitched. For a fleeting moment, hope flickered within the depths of her despair, only to be swiftly suffocated by doubt. What do you mean, protect? His career was built on viciousness, on climbing higher by pushing others down. How could he suddenly want to assume the mantle of protector? There are things you don't know, Mark countered, urgency bleeding into his words. About my family, about how this could impact us. What do you mean by us? She interrupted, heat rising to her cheeks. You don't get to make decisions about my life now that I'm carrying a child. You're just going to dictate what happens next. I want to be involved. Mark stepped closer, an earnest plea in his eyes that sent a rush of confusion through her. I need you to trust me, Claire. Trust. In a man who had built his empire on manipulation? Her hands trembled as she weighed his words against her fears, unsure of his true intentions. In that pregnant pause, the air crackled with unspoken tension. Claire knew, deep down, that the truth he was hinting at could unravel a reality far darker than her worst fears. The ground felt unstable beneath her feet as she struggled to comprehend the emotional battle brewing inside. Tell me everything, she whispered, her voice low yet resolute, or I'm walking away. The look on his face twisted from confidence to shame as he swallowed hard. Just as he opened his mouth to confess, the sound of shattering glass pierced through the tension like a scream in the night. They turned toward the noise, heartbeats quickening as a group rushed toward them, faces etched with urgency and panic. The cafeteria transformed from a scene of deep confrontation to one of chaos. What's going on? Claire's stomach dropped, a cascade of dread flooding her. Claire. Someone shouted, urgency lacing through their voice. You need to come with us now. What was happening? Was this related to Mark? The shadows of uncertainty loomed larger, but Mark's grip tightened around her arm, his expression fierce. Stay with me, he commanded, and just like that, her world tilted yet again. What was coming for them? What other secrets lurked in the shadows? The panic in the cafeteria surged, a living, breathing creature igniting a riot of emotions in Claire's chest. The erratic sounds of alarm blended with scattered whispers as people darted toward the exits. Fear clung to the air, thick and pungent. Claire's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a wild animal desperate to escape. Mark, what is happening? She pleaded, her voice tinged with desperation as she searched his eyes for answers. The shadows that danced in the corners of the room deepened. A sense of dread filled her. Mark stepped closer, his breath a mere whisper, but loud enough to cut through the chaos. They're after you, Claire. She recoiled slightly, disbelief flooding her. After me? Why would anyone be after me? Panic snagged her throat, a harsh constriction that made it hard to breathe. Because of what you carry, he said, his voice low and urgent, eyes darting as if the walls themselves were eavesdropping. You're not safe here. The shift in her world, already tumultuous, now spiraled into uncertainty. I don't understand, she murmured, feeling dizzy. The cold truth of her reality hit her like a slap. What did her pregnancy have to do with this crisis? Mark didn't reply. Instead, he surveyed the room, tense and on edge. The clattering of chairs and scuttling of feet merged with the unsettling echo of what seemed like distant shouts from somewhere outside the cafeteria. Claire. A figure emerged from the chaos. Emma, her closest friend, moving through the throng with a look of fierce determination painted across her face. We need to get out of here, now. No. I can't leave. Claire's voice rose with the swell of anxiety that gripped her. What's going on? Tell me. Emma's expression flickered with conflict, torn between loyalty and the urgency of the situation. There's no time. Just trust me. We need to go. Mark's grip tightened protective, but a flicker of indecision crossed his face as he caught Emma's eyes. We'll figure this out together. Just stay close. Claire's brain buzzed with conflicting emotions. Trusting Mark felt impossible. He was a man tangled in deception, layers of which wrapped around her like a vice. But Emma's urgency signaled danger, and as every second ticked away, Claire knew she couldn't ignore the looming threat. Just as she opened her mouth to voice her thoughts, the cafeteria doors burst open. A group of stern-looking individuals rushed in, their faces etched with authority and determination. Claire's heartbeat quickened again, each thud amplifying her alarm. Claire Aguirre. One of them called out, cutting sharply through the air, like ice running down her spine. We need you to come with us. Mark's eyes darkened, his jaw clenched. No, he exclaimed, drawing Claire protectively closer to his chest, as if to shield her from the impending onslaught of their reality. Not without an explanation. Stay back. Another voice warned sharply, as the room teetered on the brink of panic once more amid the chaos. Claire's heart thumped loudly in her ears. She grappled with the weight of the moment, every instinct screaming to flee but rooted with uncertainty. What do they want with me? She finally shouted, her voice nearly lost in the storm of fear and urgency. The first intruder hesitated, meeting Claire's worried gaze for just a moment. What you carry is more than just a child, Claire. It's crucial. We can't let anyone take you or what's inside you. With that, reality shattered. The implications of that simple phrase spiraled like a dark cloud over her mind. What did they mean? Suddenly, her stomach churned with a new dread, and she felt the air leave her lungs. Mark's grip tugged her backwards as her world splintered into kaleidoscopic fears. Would she choose safety? Who posed the real threat? Did she trust Mark, or was he the very devil in disguise? The air vibrated with unanswered questions, but one thought clawed to the surface. What lay ahead as shadows closed in around them? The taste of survival hung heavily in the air, and Claire realized that this was only the beginning of a deeper, darker secret. What would the truth reveal? The room's energy twisted, a thick fog of uncertainty creeping in as the intruders advanced. Claire's heart beat violently in her chest. Mark positioned himself in front of her, his body acting as a barricade, and she could feel the tension radiating off him like heat from a fire. Listen, Claire, he murmured through clenched teeth, you need to trust me. We'll figure this out. Trust him? How could she when everything felt so precariously balanced? She glanced from Mark to Emma, whose frantic expressions only added to the turmoil languishing in her mind. The calm conviction in Emma's eyes promised safety, yet Mark's fierce protectiveness still clung like a shield around her. Get ready to run, Emma mouthed urgently, her hands trembling but determined. Claire's nerves electrified. What were they about to run into? Just then, the leader of the group stepped closer, his face a mask of authority. Claire Aguirre, you don't understand the danger you're in. We are not your enemies. His assertion felt hollow as the panic began to spiral again. What do you know? Claire fired back, frustration bubbling over. What could possibly make me so important? More than you can comprehend, he said, his tone steady, but there was a flicker of something, perhaps fear. That child you carry has the potential to change everything. We need to get you to safety. Claire felt a wave of nausea crash over her. Change everything? What did that mean? The walls felt like they were closing in, her thoughts weaving into an intricate web of confusion and fear. I want to go with you, she stammered, digging deep for resolve. Not until I understand. The leader's eyes hardened, and Claire caught a glimpse of the struggle behind them, as if his duty wrestled with an unseen fear. You don't have a choice. It's not safe here. Before he could finish, the power surged, flickering the lights and plunging the cafeteria into shadowy chaos. A loud crash resonated from the kitchen, followed by shouts that echoed off the walls. Now! Mark shouted, grabbing Claire's hand and pulling her toward the nearest exit. Emma sprinted beside them, a determined warrior in the chaos. They lunged through the emergency doors, emerging into the grey afternoon, the chilly air hitting their skin like icy water. Claire gulped in fresh air, but the sound of commotion followed. The group of intruders barreled out behind them, shadows dancing with each flicker of the cafeteria lights. Over here! Emma shouted, pointing toward a cluster of trees lining the far side of the parking lot. Adrenaline surged through Claire as they sprinted, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last. Faint voices mingled in the wind, echoing threats and orders as the intruders mounted a furious chase, their silhouettes chasing like specters in the fading light. Are you okay? Mark's voice broke through the haze as they ducked behind the trees, panting and wide-eyed. The underbrush scratched at their legs. Claire's pulse raced, but she was stunned. How can this be happening? What am I supposed to do now? Just stay with us, Mark said, a mix of urgency and pain evident in his voice. I promise we'll protect you. But was that truly a promise he could keep? The shield of safety behind those trees felt frail as the sounds of pursuit grew louder, footsteps pounding against the gravel, voices rising, and an unyielding threat barreling toward them. Panic skittered along her spine. Claire, Emma whispered, you need to tell us everything you know about your pregnancy. It might be the key to understanding why they want you. Tremors raced through Claire at the command, her mind racing back to the last few weeks, the moments that had changed everything, but was it enough? What could a simple pregnancy reveal? As the trees trembled around them and shadows loomed, Claire prepared to open her heart to the truth, but would the revelation itself become the greatest danger of all? A chilling thought gripped her. What if the secret inside her was more monstrous than she ever imagined? The seconds stretched like eternity as they huddled in the darkness beneath the trees, trying to hold their breaths against the fear purging through them. Emma's eyes darted toward the sounds trailing behind them, the pursuit relentless, fueled by eager voices and the clatter of hurried footsteps. Claire, now, Emma urged softly, squeezing Claire's arms, urging her out of her daze. What do you know? Please, we need every piece of information. Claire's mind swirled. The world felt dizzying, each heartbeat thundering in her ears with the weight of emerging memories. I don't know, it's just a normal pregnancy. Her voice trembled, and she felt the words slip away like water through her fingers. Isn't he it? Think, Claire. The dreams. Anything odd? Emma pressed, her breath quickening. A sudden burst of wind rustled through the foliage, mirroring the chaos in Claire's mind. The memories of those unsettling nights flooded back, shadowy figures flickering at the edge of her dreams. Wait. There were times I felt something calling to me. These visions, Claire stammered, her voice shaky. And there was a pattern, a symbol. I didn't think it was significant. Tell us. Mark's grip tightened around Claire's hand, shock blasting through him as he faced her with fierce intensity. The sounds of pursuit dwindled momentarily, but time was running thin. I saw a spiral, Claire managed, the urgent whisper pushing its way to the forefront of her mind. It felt important, like a warning. But it's just a mark, right? It can't mean anything. Symbols can have power, Emma interjected urgently. Julia told me about ancient prophecies. It's all about what you carry inside of you, Claire. A wave of dread crashed down on Claire. The enormity of what lay within swelled into perspective. Change everything, she echoed, chills racing down her spine as realization set in. Keep talking, Mark urged, scanning the edges of the trees. I need to know more about my parents, Claire whispered, her heart pounding harder. I found old photos, they were involved in something clandestine. I should ask them more. Marked by the gravity of the words lingering in the air, Mark stared into her eyes, piecing together the fragments of Claire's legacy. What if they knew? About you, about that child? Just then, a rustle erupted from a nearby bush. The three of them froze, every muscle tensed. Claire's breath hitched as a dark figure, one of the intruders, slipped past the shadows, a menacing silhouette stretching against the backdrop of the fading daylight. Heart racing, she gasped, pulling Emma and Mark closer. Stay back, Mark shouted, his voice an arrow slicing through the ominous quiet. But the stranger simply paused, their face hidden in the dim light, and ventured forward carefully. Enough hiding, Claire. You have something that belongs to us, the figure said, their voice low and dangerous. Who are you? Claire managed, her insides coiling with fear. Let us help you, the figure pleaded, unmasking layers of urgency woven into their words. Your life is in grave danger. They're closing in. Closing in? Panic seized her veins. Why should I trust you? The question stuck in her throat like a knot, but she needed to know. Because it's your decision that determines whether the world changes or shatters. What did that even mean? Claire felt cold sweat trickle down her back as uncertainty gripped her heart. There was no time to think, no time to breathe, as she focused on the figure standing before them. What do you know? She stammered, desperate for answers in the eye of chaos. The shadows danced around as the figure took a step closer, and suddenly Claire was at the precipice of a revelation she hadn't been prepared for. With a determined glance at Mark and Emma, she inhaled deeply, putting herself together. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, A terrible roar echoed from the direction of the cafeteria, shaking the ground beneath them. Chills raced through her body as she understood the stakes fully. "Run!" Mark yelled, already dragging Claire away, but a sharp pain pierced her side. Something sharp, something fearsome lingered like the blade of fate, ready to slice through her fragile safety. But as they sprinted into the unknown, a question pulsed through her mind. Could she truly unravel the secret before it consumed them all? The night air was thick with dread as they darted through the trees, the sounds of pursuit chasing them like ghosts. Claire staggered slightly as the pain in her side flared up. Each step felt like it could unravel her, but the urgency of the moment propelled her forward. What was that noise? Emma gasped, glancing back as the hollering grew louder, echoing through the forest, urging them on. "We need to get away from here. I think something bit me," Claire exclaimed, panic straining her voice. She could feel warmth trickling down her side, a vivid reminder that danger was real and closing in. "Just keep running," Mark instructed, glancing back at the leafy path behind them. His eyes were wide, reflecting gusts of fear, but there was also determination. "We can't let them catch us." As they plunged deeper into the woods, the trees loomed around them like towering sentinels, shadows stretching eerily. Claire's heart raced, her mind whirled. What did that figure mean? Why do they want me? Claire. Emma's blurt pulled her out of a spiral of thoughts. "Stay focused. This is just a distraction until we can regroup." Mark nodded. "If we can get to the creek, we can cover our tracks. Water will wash away our scent." Claire silenced the pain, gripping her growing stomach. She had to think of the child. "What if they find us?" she asked, the fear and adrenaline coiling tighter inside her. "They won't not if we keep moving," Emma replied, her voice steadier than her trembling hand suggested. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low growl reverberated, more powerful than the previous roar. The sound crawled under Claire's skin, threatening to paralyze her with primal terror. What was that? Claire felt nauseous. The growl wasn't just a warning, it promised violence. A flash of iridescent eyes sliced through the darkness, each pair more frightening than the last. "Go!" Mark shouted, pulling Claire along. "Move faster." The dark landscape rushed by as they sprinted, panic flooding through their veins. Claire couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted, as if something sinister was behind her, reaching out with clawed fingers, ready to snatch her away. Just ahead, the forest thinned. Mark pointed toward a clearing illuminated by the pale light of the moon. "That's our way out. We can hide there." Before they could approach, 3 figures emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. The tension hung heavy in the air. Claire squinted into the dim light and recognized the tall, broad-shouldered man at the front. It was the dark figure from moments ago. "No." She backed away instinctively, clutching her side, where pain radiated like fire. "Claire, we were sent to protect you," the man insisted, stepping forward, lowering his voice to a soothing whisper that felt anything but. "There's no other way. The others want to see you. You're in danger." An explosion of doubt seized her, colliding with her instincts. "You think I'll trust you after you just appeared out of nowhere?" Claire's voice trembled, wavering between fear and growing desperation. "You don't understand," he responded, frustration creeping into his tone. "We are your only hope. Your legacy is drawing them to you." The reality of her situation crashed down on her like waves. Every instinct screamed to flee, but part of her wanted to stay and listen. She needed answers, and maybe this was the only way to uncover them. "What do you know about me?" she demanded, feeling a surge of defiance. "Everything," he replied, his gaze piercing. "And it's time you knew. But we have to go, now. They're closer than you think." The ground shook again, and the growls rose in volume like an orchestra of chaos tuning for a violent crescendo. The ugly trepidation assured her that whatever was out there was coming for them. "Make a choice, Claire. Trust me or run into the darkness." Clutching her stomach, Claire hovered on a knife's edge, knowing she had to decide. There, in the moment suspended by fear, the echoes of ancient secrets whispered in her mind like harbingers of fate. But just as she took a trembling step toward him, the growl erupted into a full-throated roar, drowning out her thoughts. Desperation surged through her veins. What lay ahead promised to be more terrifying than anything she had ever known. So many choices and so little time. Claire! Mark shouted, his voice snapping her back. In the chaos, she felt the weight of her decision press down, heavy and foreboding. With eyes wide in defiance, she braced herself for the truth, whatever it might be. The night was far from over and the shadows were only growing darker. The figure loomed larger as he stepped forward, into the thin moonlight. Claire glimpsed the intensity in his eyes, a wild mix of urgency and something dark. Mark stood nearby, a protective stance ready, his fists clenched at his sides. It felt like everything had narrowed to this moment, the words swirling in the air, charged with danger. "Trust me," he implored. "We don't have much time." Claire felt the weight of this choice crush her. A primal instinct urged her to flee, but what if staying truly was the only way to escape the greater threat lurking just beyond their vision? Her heart raced as she weighed her instincts against logic. The low growl rumbled again, sending vibrations through the ground. It felt personal now, directed right at her. Sweat dripped down her forehead, mixing with her anxiety. "What do you want with me?" she croaked, barely above a whisper. "Your blood is the key," he answered, his voice low yet compelling, rehearsed yet urgent. "They're coming for it. The legacy, it's important." "What does that even mean?" Claire's hands trembled, her world spiraled with every revelation. "They fear what you could become. The child, it's all connected." Disbelief gripped her throat. "You expect me to believe that?" She fought back tears, the threat of the unknown looming larger than her doubts. "Believe it or not, it's the truth," he pressed, stepping closer, forcing her to confront the chaos that swirled around them. "We don't have time. Trust yourself. Trust me." A sharp noise splintered through the air, shattering her moment of indecision. Panic erupted in her chest as shadows shifted near the tree line. "They are here," Emma shouted, eyes wide with horror. Claire felt instincts kick in. Her body moved before her brain could process. Gripping her side, she instinctively backed away, but Mark was already grabbing her arm, pulling her toward the trees. "No. We need to stay together," Claire cried, torn between the figure's urgent need and the unyielding presence of her friends. "Stay close," Mark cautioned, his face firm with determination. "We can't face them divided. We have to trust each other." The pounding growls grew louder, crescendoing with every beat of her heart. Each roar seemed an answer to her previous question, an echo of despair, a promise of horror. Claire locked eyes with the figure. "I don't know you," she shouted over the noise, desperation dripping from every word. "You will," he replied, as shadows flowed around them, forming a barrier between them and the oncoming terrors. In a terrifying flash, something massive emerged from the shadows, a dark, hulking shape filled the clearing. Claire felt like prey trapped under a predator's gaze. She could almost feel its hunger, the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting. "Run!" Mark yelled, shoving Claire and Emma backward, pushing them toward the dim path they had just fled. The figure thrust forward, confronting the beast. Without thinking, Claire stumbled in the opposite direction, heart racing, blood pounding in her ears. Emma glanced back, tearing at the air between them. "What about him? He said he's here to help." Claire screamed, doubt gnawing at her heart. They couldn't leave him. The chaos unfolded like a nightmare, the grounding of their loyalties collapsing. "You can't help someone who's already made their choice," Mark snapped, dragging Emma along. "He knows what he's doing." Claire couldn't process the words. They surged away from the clearing, another growl erupting behind them, followed by a sickening silence. Was it muted battle or dreadful stillness? "Keep running," Emma shouted as they wove through the trees, the fear spilling from her voice. Adrenaline coursed through Claire, each instinct told her to look back, but she fought it at every turn. Dark memories beat against her mind, the sense of being chased looming large like a specter behind her. Ahead, another clearing appeared, a haunting void beckoning them. It felt wrong, like a trap set for the unwary. "What now?" Emma gasped, the question hanging eerily in the air. As they rushed toward the clearing, Claire's heart raced with the weight of what awaited them. What trouble had they just escaped? And what darkness would reveal itself in this new expanse, Fate loomed heavy in the air, waiting for its moment to strike. Would they turn from the light of the clearing into another darkness, or could they find a way to survive together? Time slipped away like sand between her fingers, and with it, hope flickered like a dying flame. The clearing opened wide like an inviting mouth, but Claire could feel danger swirling around them. The moonlight felt colder here, casting eerie shadows that distorted in the night. What awaited them was uncertain, but there was no turning back. Just keep moving, Mark urged, his voice a hard edge against the oppressive silence. Emma nodded, her breath coming in sharp gasps, her eyes darting around as if the trees themselves might lung at them. Claire could feel her heart pounding against her chest, that steady thrum turning chaotic with fear. She took a step into the clearing, and the ground felt unstable beneath her. What if we're running into a trap? She murmured, fighting the clawing panic inside. No trap is worse than whatever is chasing us, Mark insisted, his face set with firm determination. We stick together. Suddenly, the darkness behind them erupted with sound snarls and growls that made her skin crawl. They were pushing closer, hunting. Something primal clawed inside Claire, urging her to run faster. She squeezed Emma's hand tightly, almost to the point of pain, seeking solidarity amidst the chaos. Look. Emma pointed towards the edge of the clearing where a thicket of bushes trembled. We can hide there. It might buy us some time. No. We need to keep moving. We can't stop, Mark replied, glancing back as the sounds of the growls grew louder, closer. Each growl felt like a warning, a whip crack in the air, urging them on. If we don't take cover, we'll be cornered. Emma's voice sliced through the tension, desperation rising. Claire shared a glance with Mark, her heartbeat synchronized to the urgent timbre of their breaths. Fine. Mark nodded tight, his determination softening as reality hit him. But only for a moment. We need a plan. They rushed to the nearby bushes. Claire crouched low, her heart racing as they pressed into the dense foliage, holding their breath. The sounds of growling faded momentarily, but it left a chilling anticipation hanging like fog in the air. What did he mean? Claire suddenly asked, her voice barely above a whisper. About my blood, the legacy? Mark shook his head, his mouth set in a grim line. I don't know. But whatever it is, it feels alive, like it's been waiting for you. The weight of those words settled like lead in her stomach. It was a truth that felt unfamiliar yet unyielding. Before she could respond, another roar shattered the silence, reverberating as if the forest itself was alive with fury. The noise was close, way too close. We need to go, Claire urged, panic slicing through her voice. Just as she finished speaking, a massive shadow erupted out of the thicket behind them. The beast lunged, revealing monstrous, gleaming teeth that snapped just inches away from where they had huddled. Run! Mark's shout pierced the thick air as they broke free of their hiding spot, adrenaline kicking in once more. The bushes tore at their clothes as they stumbled into the clearing, the raw urgency flooding back in a rush. The night air felt heavy, full of dread. What were they up against? The beast was a blur of darkness, charging at them with terrifying speed. It moved like a ghost, weaving through the trees, a hunter poised to strike. We need to split up, Claire shouted, desperation gnawing at her mind. Distract it. Use the trees. No. We stay together, Mark barked back. The conflict roasted between them, the ground trembling with every monstrous step behind. The beast lunged again, a dark flash of fur and claws, and Claire had to decide. One way meant likely death. The other, a feeble chance at survival. You trust me? She shouted, locking eyes with Mark. Always, came the immediate response, trust solidified in those one word. Then follow me. With a surge of determination, Claire darted to the left, veering away from the beast, hoping her friends would follow. Her mind raced with possibilities, terrified yet alive with purpose. But as they weaved through the trees, Claire felt something else stirring within her. Something dangerous and powerful, awakening beneath the chaos. Ahead, an ancient stone structure emerged, crumbling and obscured beneath vines. It looked like a long-forgotten shrine. What secrets lay within its darkened corners? Over there, she yelled, pointing to the structure. And as they raced toward it, the beast howled in relentless pursuit, shadows pooling around them, wrapping tighter with every breath. Could the shrine provide refuge, or was it just another snare waiting to spring? Claire's gut twisted. Would they find answers at the altar of their doom? Time was running out, the hunter was closing in, and somewhere within, Claire knew something within her had changed. But could she harness it, or would it consume her? The choice was looming, and with it came a sudden surge of darkness, ready to swallow them whole. Claire's heart raced. Freedom or fate, the moment was drawing dangerously close. What lay ahead? The secrets of the shrine or the jaws of the beast? The chilling weight pressed against her chest as she drove forward into the unknown. As they reached the ancient structure, Claire could sense the air grew thick with an unexpected energy, pulsing against her skin like a living thing. The stone walls, though cracked and crumbling, loomed high, their surface darkened by years of neglect. The jagged edges seemed to beckon them, almost inviting them inside to escape the terror outside. But for what? Mark hesitated just outside the entrance, the primal snarl of the beast echoing behind them. "Is this really a good idea?" he whispered, his expression tense, every muscle taut with fear. "It's either this or," Emma's voice quivered, trailing off as she glanced back, dread pooling in her eyes. The growls from the shadows intensified, like a rising storm. "We go in," Claire commanded, heart pounding. Without waiting for confirmation, she stepped into the darkness of the shrine, pulling Emma and Mark with her. The air inside was cooler, almost calming, yet it thrummed with an unidentifiable tension. Inside, the faint moonlight barely illuminated dusty surfaces and ancient carvings etched into the stone walls. Claire could almost hear the whispers of the past, stories waiting to unfold. But the danger still lurked behind them, a shadow clawing at the edge of her mind. "Look." Emma pointed to the altar at the center, decorated with stones that glimmered faintly. "What is that?" Claire's heart raced. "It looks like it might be some kind of offering table." She stepped closer, drawn by an inexplicable force. Mark surveyed the dim interior, swallowing hard. "And what if it's a trap?" Claire hesitated, catching a fleeting glimpse of something shimmering atop the altar. Fear twisted with curiosity inside her. It could also be a way to fight back. Suddenly, the beast crashed against the entrance, sending tremors through the floor. The altar's surface vibrated, dust cascading down like tiny sparks in the dim light. "We have to move," Mark yelled, pulling them back toward the shadows, but Claire stepped closer to the altar instead. "Wait. There might be something here, something we can use." The urgency in her voice was palpable. As she reached out, her fingers brushed against the stones. A jolt of energy surged through her, like lightning crackling beneath her skin. In an instant, images flooded her mind, visions of the shrine once vibrant, filled with people paying homage. Claire fell back a step, panting as the whispers grew louder, melding into one coherent voice. "The blood of the worthy, it awakens the power." "What are you talking about?" Emma exclaimed, gripping Claire's arm, eyes wide in terror. "It knows it's reacting to me." Claire's breath came in short gasps, the weight of the realization pushing down on her shoulders. She had to embrace whatever this was. Mark clasped her shoulder. "Whatever it is, we don't have time." The beast roared outside again, its impatience palpable as it clawed at the entrance. The altar beckoned to Claire, both a curse and a chance. "I think I can activate something, but I need to focus," she said, shaking off Mark's hand. "Activate what?" His voice rose with fear, desperation clawing at his tone. "Something ancient. We need it. We can't let it in." With a surge of determination, Claire shut her eyes, feeling the pulse of the stones beneath her fingers. She conjured the strength from deep inside, feeling the power building alongside her fear. The air inside crackled, it felt alive, thrumming with energy. "Claire!" Emma cried, panic lacing her voice. A faint glow began to radiate from the altar, illuminating the sanctuary. Claire's heart raced faster than ever as a shimmering barrier formed between them and the beast, held by her own will and that mysterious force within her. The growling stopped abruptly, and a deafening silence blanketed the area. "Did it work?" Mark whispered, fearfully peering around. Claire opened her eyes, the glow fading but the energy still alive within her. "For now, but I can feel it. It's not over." The shadows around the shrine seemed to thicken, swirling like smoke as the ground around them began to tremble once more. Would this sanctuary hold against whatever darkness chased them? What do we do now? Emma's voice cracked, vulnerability spilling out as dread filled the space once more. Claire felt an urge to protect, a bond to something greater. We have to uncover the truth of this place before it finds us again. Whatever legacy this is, it's my fight now. With that, the depth of the shrine seemed to shift, revealing hidden paths entangled with vines and shadows. Was this the secret they sought, or another danger lurking ahead? The shadow of the beast loomed not far off, but its presence was dwarfed by the uncertainty of Claire's next move. What lay in those hidden passages? Ancient dangers or the ultimate truth? The air crackled with anticipation, and Claire knew the answers were waiting for her if she dared to find them. The air hung heavy around Claire, Mark, and Emma as they stepped deeper into the shrine, shadows flitting across the ancient stone walls like eerie spirits peeking from dark corners. Each heartbeat echoed, a reminder of the urgency drumming in their chests. "Keep your eyes peeled," Mark whispered, scanning their surroundings. Claire nodded, her thoughts racing. What lay ahead might hold the secret to her child's future and their own survival. Navigating the narrow passageways, they pressed forward, the stone damp beneath their fingers. An otherworldly glow flickered in the darkness, guiding them. Claire's instincts flared, a flicker of power surged within her every time her fingertips grazed the damp, cool walls. They led her deeper, deeper into the unknown. "What are we hoping to find?" Emma muttered, glancing back anxiously toward the entrance. "The truth," Claire replied, her voice steady despite the shivers trailing down her spine. "I need to understand what is happening. Why they want my baby." Suddenly, a low rumble rolled through the earth beneath them, and the entrance trembled. "They're coming," Mark urged, urgency lacing his voice. "We have to hurry." They plunged deeper, each step feeling more vital than the last, tension coiled tight in the air around them. The glow intensified, illuminating an altar at the end of the passage, the intricate patterns on its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. "It has to mean something," Claire breathed, approaching the altar with trepidation. The markings radiated a warmth that was almost inviting, yet an ominous undertone hummed beneath. As she stepped closer, the stones began to resonate, thrumming with energy. Then, without warning, a figure stepped out from the shadows. "Stop!" he shouted, his voice harsh and commanding. Claire froze. The man wore tattered clothing and appeared older, his eyes dark, filled with both wisdom and warnings. "You shouldn't be here. Who are you?" Claire demanded, drawing closer, ready to face whatever truth he held. "Your lineage is sacred," he replied, voice trembling as he scanned the lengths of their forms. "It's not safe. The legacy you bear is not just a gift. It's a weapon." The pieces clicked into place. "A weapon?" Claire whispered, heart racing. "What does that mean? What are you talking about?" "The child you carry holds the key to an ancient prophecy," he said, urgency woven into each word. "There are forces at work beyond your understanding. Those who seek your blood want to control it. You're in grave danger." Claire's heart dropped. "Then it is true." Emma's grip tightened on Claire's forearm. "We need to go. This man might bring more trouble." "No, wait," Claire shouted. "What prophecy? What do you know?" "The power can either save or destroy," the figure warned, glancing back toward the entrance nervously. "But you must be the one to choose." The walls shuddered once more, they could hear the growls closing in from the outside. Claire's breath caught, panic clawing at her insides. "What choice?" The figure took a step forward, gaze focused on Claire. "Embrace the legacy or deny it. You must awaken the force within you," he said. "Before it's too late." "I don't know what that means." Claire's voice broke, anguish flooding through her. "How do I do that?" "Focus on the power," he instructed. "Trust in yourself. It's always been there." The urgency in his voice pierced through her fear. Behind them, the entrance cracked open, revealing shadowy figures glaring inside the dim light. "It's now or never," Mark shouted, pulling Claire close. "I can't just turn my back," she insisted, trembling. She glanced at Mark and Emma, hearts pounding in rhythm with theirs. Then we stand together. Mark breathed. Whatever this legacy is, we face it as one. The bond among them felt electric, each pulse of fear transforming into courage forged in shared determination. With a deep breath, Claire closed her eyes. She concentrated, focusing on the hum resonating throughout the altar, honing in on the energy flowing beneath her skin. The sounds of chaos outside faded as she delved deeper, the warmth filling her with a certainty she had never known before. "You're worthy," a whisper echoed in her mind, caressing her spirit. "Let it in." Power surged from within, connecting her with the ancient energy wrapped tightly around her legacy. It felt alive, a roaring fire igniting her veins. She opened her eyes, and for the first time, clarity flooded her being. The markings on the altar glimmered brighter, embracing her with a pulse of acceptance. The intruders burst through, but Claire stood firm, solid, and now fierce. "You'll not take what belongs to me." An overwhelming force pulsed outward from her. The shadows hesitated, recoiling at the blast of energy. The figure smiled knowingly, relief washing over his face. "Yes," he boomed, or painted across his features. "You are becoming who you're meant to be." With a roar that rattled the ground, the darkness began to retreat. Claire felt the weight of generations bearing down and lifting, lending her strength. With flickering light cascading around them, she stepped forward, bravely facing the shadows. Emma and Mark flanked her sides, their courage binding them together in a fierce stand against the unknown. They triumphed through the fear, the power within Claire radiating like a beacon. "What happens now?" Emma asked, breathless but filled with awe. "We fight for our future," Claire replied, determination burning bright in her chest. The world shook with chaos, but as shadows swirled, fear transformed into power, hope igniting as they faced the unknown together. The legacy has awakened with every heartbeat. Claire knew this was just the beginning. Together, they would forge a new path, one of hope over darkness. And whatever lay ahead, they would meet it head-on, light blazing strong against shadow. "Do you trust me?" Claire asked, her voice steady. "Always," Mark affirmed. "Yes," together, Emma added, resolve painting a smile on her face. Hand in hand, they stepped forward, ready to rewrite their fate. This was their moment to reclaim their lives. And in her heart, Claire knew the truth would always manifest in light, and thus, filled with resolve, they moved on from the darkness clarity in chaos. This is the moment they would all remember. As the dust settled behind them, Claire vowed she would never forget. Now the real adventure would begin. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive story. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us reach more amazing souls. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.